Hi, welcome back to Musicians Edition Practice with me for flute. Today we're still working in the Rubank Elementary Method for flute or piccolo. And before we get started, don't forget to get your intermediate book. We are super close now. We have Scarf Dance Part 1 and 2. We have Welsh Folk Song Part 1 and 2, Lullaby 1, 2, and 3. And then we're on to the intermediate book. How exciting. So make sure you get your book either here or in the description. And while we're speaking of going on to intermediate things, it might be time to be looking into upgrading your flute to an intermediate flute. So if you're asking yourself that question, go ahead and check out the video here as well. Okay, so today we're looking at Scarf Dance Part 1. Okay, and that's on page 47. So let's take a look at this real quick. So first, tell me about our time signature. What do we have going on? 3, 4. So not an overly complicated time signature. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Tell me about our key signature. We have no sharps, no flats. Is this major or minor? And which major or minor is it? This one is C major. Okay, let's take a look though. Are there any accidentals that we're going to need to take note of? Yeah, there is. So for example, first measure, we have a D sharp marked in, okay? Then we have D sharp again in measure 4 and 5. And then in measure 8, we have an F sharp. Then we have an F sharp in the following measure. And then second line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have F sharp, 6, F sharp again, okay? And then going on, we have some flats coming up a little later too, so it's gonna switch to flats, okay? Even though our key signature still has no sharps, no flats, there's flats as accidentals. So if you take a look at line 1, 2, 3, 4, and measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then in 7, we have flat to natural, and natural, okay? And then we still have a couple more D sharps and F sharps, okay? So if you think you're gonna miss them already, go ahead and circle them in with your pencil, okay? Let's take a look at repeats. Do we have any repeats? We do. We actually have 2 repeats. So let's take a look at the first repeat, okay? It's the second line to the end. Where does that repeat take us to? The beginning. So if you think you're going to miss that repeat, circle it in. Tell me, where's our next repeat? It's at the very end. Now, where does this repeat take us to? The beginning of line 3. See that? All right, so we'll have to kind of pay attention a little bit more with our repeats. We haven't had too many that had more than one repeat in it. Okay. So let's take a look at our dynamics real quick. Tell me about our dynamics. We're starting with mezzo forte, so a comfortable kind of dynamic. And then looking at line 2, from the 4th measure to the end, we're gonna diminish down to piano, nice and soft, okay? As we repeat, it's going to remain exactly the same. It doesn't tell us second time, do blah, 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 okay? Third line, we're going to go back to mezzo forte, and then it's reminding us to stay in mezzo forte, and then we're going to go to forte where those flats are marked, and then that last measure on the 4th line, we have ritardendo, which is not a dynamic, but I'm just stating because we're there. We're going to slow down a little, and we're going to get a little softer. We're going to go back down to just mezzo forte though, so nothing crazy. Okay, and then on the last line, we're going to forte and we're going to crescendo even louder than forte. And then we're going to diminish all the way down to piano. That's a lot to come down. Okay? And then we're going to be really soft for those last 2 measures. When we repeat, the dynamics are exactly the same. The only thing that's changing for that is the second time, we're going to ritardendo 3rd to last measure. We're going to slow it down. Okay? So while we're speaking of the ritardendos and our tempo, what tempo is marked from the beginning? Voz expressivo. So we're going to be really expressive with this. You remember how we can do that? With the dynamic changes and vibrato, that's going to get us really far. Okay? And then we have the first ritardando at line 1, 2, 3, 4, last measure in line 4. And then second time in the repeat, the third to last measure, we're going to slow it down. But before that, we're going to actually come back to our original tempo at line 5. You see where it says A tempo? That means we're going to go back to our original tempo. Okay? We do have some areas that have the accents, so push them strong. We have staccatos in some areas. So if you take a look at line 1, 2, 3, and measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we have some staccato action, so nice and short. And we also have some tenutos marked in, so we're going to play the full length. So for example, that would be line 1, measure 2, got the lines above them, tenuto. Play that as full. Okay? And then we have some slurs in some areas and some tonguing in some areas, so make sure you pay attention to articulation. Woo, that's a lot, but not really, we're gonna break it down. So first off, let's just sight read this so we can get a feel for the music, okay? So let's sight read beginning to end, do the repeats. I'm gonna give a 1 measure count off. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent job. So hopefully you remembered to hit all those repeats and noticed all the accidentals, and yeah. All right, so let's break this down. Let's look at the top line here. Okay, so there's nothing too real challenging when it comes to the rhythm. Just might be the D sharps throwing you off. But as long as you have it marked, just remember E to D sharp. It's just this finger. It's just the middle finger or the ring finger, so nothing too complicated. Okay, so let's do this really slow. And right now we're going to just pay attention to getting the right notes. Okay, so just that top line. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Now, I guess when it does come to rhythm, it might be throwing you off a little bit. So say measure 3 where we have the half note and then the quarter note tying into the next quarter note. Just make sure you really count that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, so just hold that over 3, 1, 3, 1. Okay, so let's try it again. Let's pick it up a little bit more. This time I want you to pay attention to articulation. I mean, still do the right notes, but this time add in your slurs and ties. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent job. All right, this time we're going to add in our expressions. So add in the dynamics, add in your vibratos, okay? And we're going to pick it up just a little bit faster. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and look at line 2 now. So we still have the same kind of rhythms happening here. Make sure you hit those E naturals with confidence. All right, we don't want any of those squeaky notes happening there. Okay, so this go around we'll take it slower and just pay attention to getting those notes in the tone, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. All right, so this time we're going to add in our articulations, so make sure to tie and slur where you're supposed to. Okay, and if you're struggling with that high G, that's kind of a confidence thing too, right? And if you don't remember, just take your thumb off for G. And it'll make it so much easier, okay? And you're still going to use the upper register type embouchure and air because this is the upper register, okay? So if you need to take a moment to just try to work on your G a little bit, pause the video, just hit your G a couple times. And if you're still struggling, just remember you can always work your way up. F, G. Or even back it up to E if you need to, okay? All right, so this time, still paying attention to your notes, tone. This time we're adding in articulation. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. This time, now we're going to add in our expressions. So really pay attention to your dynamics. Remember, this is where we have that diminuendo, and we're going to go down all the way to piano. So we're going to take it really quiet, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. That high G is a little hard to hit when it's piano, huh? Yeah, it might take some practice. All right, let's go ahead and play both line 1 and 2 with proper notes and tone, dynamics, and articulation, okay? Play it beautifully in the way it's meant to be played. All right, and we're going to do the repeat just to get that extra in. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent job. How'd you do on those dynamics and vibrato? Great. Make sure you just keep working on it, even if you've got it. Okay? We'll always want to be working on dynamics and vibrato. Very important. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so now we're at line 3. Okay, now if you look, usually part 1 has the melody in the main part, but we'll see that part 2 has the melody. So even though we're marked for mezzo forte and they're marked forte, when you're playing with somebody live or even here, you want to make sure that we're playing a little quieter than part 2 because we want part 2 to shine through. And particularly, they're in the lower register, so it's a little harder to hear. And we're still in mid-range, but that G is a lot easier to hear than. So make sure you really listen, okay? Because we want part 2 to shine through. Okay, moving on. Okay, so we have 8th, 8th rest, 8th, 8th rest, okay? We can just easily treat this kind of like a staccato, so we want it real short. And it helps that the note hits on the beat. 1, rest on and. 2, rest on and. 3, rest on and. 1, 2, 3. So that really helps, is that we're on the beat. And part 2 is 2, so when you're playing with them, we're gonna play the notes exactly the same, okay, on the beats. Okay, so nice and short there, and then we're gonna go into longer things. So we have the half note, quarter, half note, quarter, 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 and then we go into real short 8ths, okay? So play those real short. Okay, but that quarter note is, I mean, it's not marked tenuto, but it's also not marked with the staccato, so don't necessarily shorten that quarter note, okay? So let's just play those first 2 measures just so we can get the feel for those 8ths, okay? Just the first 2 measures on line 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect, let's do it one more time. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect, just nice and short. Okay, and then let's look at those 8-note runs that are staccatoed. So it's third line, measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll start at 6, start on that D, okay? We'll take it slow. Don't worry about staccatos right now, just take it slow. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay? Let's speed it up a little bit. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. One more time and we'll speed it up, and then we'll start staccatoing it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to add in the staccatos. Try really hard to make those nice and short. Maybe even think of it as a 16th, and then for a rest for a 16th. Try to do that if you can. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Perfect, so just nice and short. Okay, so I think we're ready to just try that whole line together now, okay? So line 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to do it again. This time, add in those accents in measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Ta, ta, ta. It's just on those quarter notes, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Okay, now we're gonna want to add in our expressiveness. So make sure that we do still kind of add some form of dynamics, just make them smaller. And let's add in our vibrato. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect, and we want to make sure that we still cut off on 1 because you'll see that part 2 has that solo, so we want to make sure that we hear them. All right, let's go ahead and move on to line 4. We're doing pretty much the same thing for that first 4 measures, right? The notes might be a little different there in those, just in that 4th one, you just stay on the G versus going on F, okay? And then we have those accents on those quarter notes. Ready? Ta, 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 ta. So make sure you hit those hard. This is where our flats are also. So we do have a little bit of an accidental thing going on. So, all right. So let's just give this a try. This one shouldn't be too difficult. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. All right, this time I really want you to make sure that you punch in your accents. All right, we're going to really pay attention to articulation, so punch those in. Tongue where you're supposed to. We have a few slurs. Do the slurs too. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Now this time we're going to add in our vibrato and dynamic. So starting with mezzo forte, measure 5, we're going forte. Kind of loud, too loud. Okay? And then that last measure, we're going to decrescendo. Oh, just a little, because it's only going to take us to mezzo forte. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at line 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, 5. Okay, so now this looks like it's what? It looks just like the beginning, line 1. So this shouldn't be too difficult. So, because this is also our tempo would go back to our normal speed, going back to mezzo forte. Everything else is the same. Our dynamics, articulation, accents, accidentals, all the same. All right, so let's go ahead and just give that a try. Ready? Do the whole 9 yards. Do articulations, expressivo, the whole 9 yards. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect, and we can go ahead and move on to the next line. Okay, so we have, it's close to line 2. So the first measure is the same, second measure is the same on those E's, but then we have an 8th note, so it's E to G. And that is really just gonna take confidence to play too, all right? Don't panic, you got it. All right, so confidence, get it out. And it helps that we're in fortissimo, I'm assuming, because we're in forte and we're crescendoing. So extra loud, proud, be loud. All right, so yeah, we have the 8th note there. And then going down to quarters, okay? And then it still just works its way down to 2/8, quarter, rest, 2/8, quarter, rest. Quarter, 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 quarter. Okay, so that's not overly difficult. It's just going to be those high notes and then the 2 high 8th notes, but I believe you've got it. All right, so this time let's just play at our comfortable dynamic just to make sure we have the notes and general rhythm down. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Okay. So now let's add in our articulations. Okay. So we got tenutos there marked. Okay. We don't have any staccatos. Don't have to worry about that. We have some slurs and then some regular tonguing. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Now we're going to add in our expressiveness. So starting forte, we're going to crescendo. We're going to diminish all the way down to piano. That's a big diminish there. And then we're ending very softly. Okay? And don't forget to add in your vibratos. All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So those high C's, they're going to kind of sound like a whisper. All right. We want it real soft, pretty much as soft as you can go. All right. So let's go ahead and take this from the repeat, right? So line 3, we're going to play that all the way through, repeat and end. Okay. So basically kind of the second half of the song. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent job. All right, let's go ahead and do this from beginning to end. Both of us still on the top part. We're not going to do the retardendos for video's sake, but if you are playing with a real person later, make sure that you guys are in sync and follow each other for those. And if you have a conductor, watch the conductor. Okay, so beginning to end with repeats, do all articulations, dynamics, and the expressiveness. Okay? All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent job. All right, let's go ahead and do this as a duet now. So you remain on part 1, I'll play part 2 with repeats. All right, keep everything as expressive and beautiful as you can. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Excellent job. How fun was that, right? Great. Don't forget to get your intermediate book so it has time to ship to you. I really appreciate it if you buy it from the link, but if you buy it elsewhere, that's okay too. All right, so thanks for joining. Don't forget to hit that subscribe, like, and notify so you don't miss any of our lessons. Thanks for joining, and until next time.